boys basketball, girls basketball. We're coming down the final stretch of the season, heading to the playoffs. We'll take you there next on SFBN Talks High School Sports. Talk about that game and that team in particular. And let's talk about some of the players. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Welcome to another edition of SFBN Talks High School Sports. I'm your host, Ari Bluestein, and Emily Henning is back. And Emily, last time you were here, you were talking about Suburban 1 with Mike Samsel.
Yes.
So I want to get into the city a little bit today. Okay. Let's start off in the public league. And the class of the pub right now are the Constitution Generals. Head coach Rob Moore has done a great job with this team. They have really talented players with Ahmad Gilbert, Kamar Williams, among others. Talk about the Generals a little bit. So
like you mentioned, Gilbert and Williams, those two are great players on this team, both averaging over 15 points per game. So they're great players, and this is a very well-rounded team. You know, they started off the week actually with a rough loss to St. Anthony. By 1 point they lost. It was a close game. But then they had 3 tough matchups, Imhotep, King, and PET, and they swept all 3 of those games. So they've been playing very well. Yeah, they're undefeated in Division A, the top division in the public league. And you mentioned Imhotep, and they're one of the top programs in the entire state. Right. Head coach Andre Noble has done a great job with that program. And they had their best player injured for most of this year, Devin Liggins, but now he's back. Yeah, Liggins, you know, he committed to Wagner early in August. He was supposed to have this great senior season, and unfortunately he broke his hand early December, which was a huge bummer. And, you know, he didn't have the start to the season that he hoped for, but now he's back, and he's making his presence known on the court. His first game back, I believe he had 19 points and 6 rebounds, so he's definitely making it known that he's back. And they even had him matched up against Samir Dowdy for MCS, and he was able to play tit for tat with him. So, you know, it's great to see a player that's been injured come back and play so well. Yeah, he's a very dynamic player. He can score inside, he can score outside. And you mentioned Dowdy, you know, he is one of the top players in the public league, maybe the best player for MCS. But the Mighty Elephants, they are struggling this year. Head coach Danny Jackson has stepped down, and they're having an overall good season, but in Division A, they are struggling a little bit. Right, they are struggling. And Samir Dowdy is averaging over 26 points per game. And part of that is because he's a great player. Like you mentioned, probably one of the best out there, but also because he doesn't have that many good players surrounding him. So, and the changes in this team, definitely, they seem a little bit off, probably because of all those changes, the head coach leaving, but they have been playing hard. You know, it's just they seem a little bit off. Yeah, I would agree. And Dowdy, a very good player, going to St. John's next year. So that's a pretty good program. Now, one of the teams that, you know, we've talked about on the show before, Martin Luther King, I think they're the team that might be able to give Constitution a run for their money. In fact, the Cougars beat them in the Public League Championship last year. Head coach Sean Colson, very good coach. He has a great team. Sammy Foreman, a very good guard. A lot of people always talk about him. Talk about Martin Luther King a little bit. Now, King, this is another great team. The big story with this team, though, is Laji Fatana, who transferred to King mid-October, and he actually wasn't eligible to play until this week. There was a hearing on Friday, so now he's back on the court, and they have some high hopes for this kid. I mean, his first game, he had 8 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, so he's still getting comfortable, but he's supposed to be a very great player, and he's surrounded, like you mentioned, by a couple other great senior guards. So this team, they have a bunch of great guys. I think they should go pretty far. Yeah, Chase Rogers is another guy that I like a lot for Martin Luther King. Now, King, they're a 4A team, and another 4A team that's playing pretty well in the public league are the George Washington Eagles. And we've talked about them on this show before. They're undefeated in Division B. They're having a very good year. But come playoff time, they might have to be matched up with MLK in the playoffs. Right, they might, and they might struggle a little bit going forward. They are a good team. They've been playing very hard, and ever since John Creighton stepped up as head coach, each year this team has gotten better and better. So we'll see how far they can go. They might struggle a little bit, but they have a good group of guys. Charlie Brown, the 6'6" senior wing, he's been playing incredible. Great offensive guy. Can play inside, outside. So we'll see how they play. Yeah, and I like Almanji Watson a lot for Washington as well. You know, now we mentioned the playoffs. We're going to get into our playoff predictions a little bit later in the show, and we're also going to get into the Philadelphia Catholic League. We have a lot to talk about. More basketball coming up next on SFBN Talks High School Sports.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
For over 30 years, the Runaround has serviced southeastern Pennsylvania as the premier team outfitter in the region. Located in Abington, the Runaround serves as a one-stop shop for many of the area's top high school and collegiate athletic programs, as well as numerous travel teams, youth organizations, and corporations. With its top-quality screen printing and embroidery coupled with the best prices in the region, the Runaround is your answer to any team apparel needs.
The Ambler Sports Academy is owned and operated by professional teachers and coaches. We specialize in individual, group, and team training. Book your next baseball or softball birthday party with us or call to learn more about how we can improve your organization by providing coaching clinics, tryout evaluations, and on-the-field training. The Ambler Sports Academy will be offering summer camps at the following locations. Be sure to visit our website today for details. We look forward to helping your players reach their maximum potential.
Welcome back. We've sent our Jack Cap out to learn a couple of different sports, but basketball is one sport that he knows pretty well. So we wanted to see how he stacked up against one of the best girls basketball teams in the entire country, Nuemann-Goretti High School.
Go ahead. Hey. So what are we doing?
I'm Jack Cap. I'm here today at Nuemann-Goretti High School, the home of the Saints. Today we have with us some Lady Saints, four of the starters for the great ladies basketball team here, the girls basketball team. So last year you had a great season. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it, AJ? We'll start with you, since you're closest to me.
Last year we were very successful. We did lose in the state championship, but overall we had a great season. Me and Siani Cryer coming in as transfers, we blended well with the rest of the team. You would never know that we were new, but we were very successful last year.
We came here last year and they welcomed us in as their sisters, as their teammate, and it was very nice of them. And we see the outcome of it was we were 29-1. We had a great season as a family.
So you definitely fit right in, going undefeated. Talk about that.
Last year, of course, we lost in the state championship.
Right. Up until the state.
But winning 29 games was just an accomplishment that a lot of people thought that we could never do, especially Nuemann-Goretti. So it was fun along the way. Along the way, it was fun to win all these games. On and off the court, we were still family.
And Christina, talk to us a little bit about your experience.
I would say it's a learning experience because I had to sit back behind some bigs and learn a lot because I wasn't that good. I've been playing for a long time, but I learned a lot. I've been working on my game, and here I am today. So yeah, it was awesome.
Let's go on to this year now. You're a highly ranked team. So let's talk about that a little bit. What does that feel like? Anybody want to jump in on that?
It feels good. It feels good, but we know that we have to remain humble and still play our game every single game. Like, we can't come out, because everybody wants to beat us. So we have to play our game and play Nuemann-Goretti basketball every time we step on the floor.
And I feel like where we at right now, we're being ranked 22nd in the country. I mean, second in the country.
Second in the country.
Second. I think we deserve it because a lot of people want to see us fail and break us apart. But we stick together as a family, and with our coaches by our side and always fighting for us, I think they deserve it too.
I mean, you're expressing that much, you know, but to get a team like this with the talent level that you have, it's great, right?
Euro step. This I have to say.
So, everybody, come down. This way. The front goes that way.
Okay, go through the whole move. Can we show it again?
Yeah.
Girls are all going to college. And let's tell us about your college choices.
We are attending Towson University next year.
And that's you and
Sienna
Morrone, right?
So really good with me.
And you guys want to stay together. You're friends, right?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. And what league are they in?
ACC.
That's tough stuff.
Yep. I wanna play against the best. Well, I like having like a lot of good competition.
Express, you guys are you made some astute choices. I like that. Christina, you're going to where?
University of Texas.
That's a long distance from Philadelphia. You're from originally Nigeria, so your experience has to be different than everybody's.
Oh, it is very different. So I took just 2 visits. I went to Ole Miss first, and I went to Texas. You know, they saw something in me they wanted, and they were ready to help me improve on that. And I went to their workout, and I knew that this is somewhere I'll go and I'll get better, because that's what I want to do. I want to keep getting better every day.
Let me show you how to say that.
The whip.
Yes, it's any go this way.
Push up, like dribbling. Boom, boom, boom. Strong dribble.
I think you all expressed your choices very well, and I hope you all made the right choice, and I think you did, and maybe you'll even get to play against each other in college.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
The Writers' Corner is brought to you by Eldion Pagilari State Farm Insurance Agency. For all your insurance and financial needs, please contact Eldion and his friendly team at 215-485-5556 or visit their website, epinsured.com.
Welcome back to SFBN Talks. It's now time for the Writers' Corner, and this week we have Kate Harman from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Kate, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we know you know girls basketball pretty well, and we just talked about Nuemann-Goretti, and they have looked pretty good this year. They're one of the top teams in the country, if not the best. You've gotten a chance to see them play this year. What have you seen from the Saints?
Well, there's a reason that they're ranked #1 in the country by USA Today, right? They haven't lost a Catholic League game in 2 years. It really, for them, it starts with Siani Cryer, their point guard, who's going to Georgia Tech. But they have 4 other Division I recruits as well. They're really fast, they're really athletic, they're great in transition, they're good on both sides of the ball, and they've really been winning in a dominating fashion.
Now, they were 1 win short of the state championship last year. They're at the 2A level. Do you see them winning it and going all the way this year?
Yeah, they were 29-0 before they lost that game. So I really think that it came as a surprise to them. I don't think that they expected it. So I think that there's more preparation, and there's a chip on their shoulder this season for sure. And I really do see them winning it all.
Now, in the Catholic League, you mentioned that they are undefeated. And is there anybody in the Catholic League that can challenge them? We covered their game against Wood on SFBN back in mid-January. But is there anybody that can maybe challenge them for the PCL title?
Well, you mentioned one of the teams who can maybe, challenge them, Archbishop Wood. The other team is probably Cardinal O'Hara. They're really young. They only are really made up of freshmen and sophomores. So they're really, really young, and so they don't have a lot of, varsity experience, but they're really quick, they're really fun to watch, and they're really explosive. And I think when there's a team like that, you can never really count them out. Archbishop Wood, always great defensively. They also have Bailey Greenberg, Aubrey Brown, who's going to Drexel. So those are 2 teams who can definitely challenge Goretti.
And Wood, like Nuemann-Goretti, came up 1 win short of the state championship last year at the 3A level. In addition to Wood, is there anybody else that can challenge maybe in that 3A state tournament?
I think you have to look out for Gwen and Mercy. They play in the Catholic Academy, so they play a very tough schedule. They play against a lot of 4A teams, so they're not, not used to that, obviously, that competition. That's something that they're used to, right? Then you also have Pope John Paul II, and they, play in the Pioneer Athletic Conference, but they have some really great shooters, and they have a lot of talent back. They have 4 starters back from last year. They're definitely motivated by a loss in the District 1 tournament last year that they weren't expecting, and for that, I think that you can definitely watch them make a run.
You mentioned 4A. We talked about O'Hara. There's a lot of really good suburban teams at the 4A level as well. Tell us about some of those top teams that you've seen this year.
Yeah, there is a lot of talent in Suburban 1 for sure. The first team, though, that I think of is Central Bucks West. They haven't lost to an in-state opponent all year. For them, their top player is Nicole Munger. She's going to Michigan. She's one of 4 starters who comes back from last year's team who lost in the first round of the state tournament, but they lost to the eventual state champion. So there's a lot of talent there. You've got Mackenzie Mason, Mackenzie Carroll, Corinne Godshaw. They're really good defensively as well. They have a lot of depth. They use a lot of players, and I think that's something that's probably going to help them out. A couple of other teams, you get Mount St. Joseph. They're always well coached. Upper Dublin's a team to look out for, and you can never count out North Penn or even Springford.
And Abington and Cheltenham are 2 teams that I think of in Montgomery County. How are they this year?
Abington tends to play better the later the season goes on. They have Deja Rawls, who's going to Siena. They have a lot of really good team chemistry. They have 2 kids that are 6'2". That's really going to help them, the inside-out game. Absolutely, Abington's a team to watch out for. And then Cheltenham is one of the best teams that they've had over the past couple years. And for them, it's explosive guard Ashley Jones. She's only a sophomore, but she's one of the top scorers in the area. And then they also have a senior in Amari Trueheart, who's a great leader, really good point guard, who has really good court vision.
And there's some good private schools in this area as well. 2 leagues I think about. We've talked about on the show, the Interact and the Friends League. What have you seen in those leagues so far this year, and who do you think is maybe the favorite to win? Who's it going to come down to?
In the Interact, it looks like it's going to come down to Episcopal versus Germantown Academy. They only have 1 loss, each of those teams in the league. They play each other next Saturday. Episcopal got the first matchup, so Germantown definitely a little revenge. They both have a lot of talent, a lot of returning senior talent experience. It's going to be a close one. And then the Friends League, it's going to be either Shipley, who hasn't lost a league game in 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's either Shipley or it's going to be Friends Central, who is Ayanna McCurdy and Michaela Vaughn, who are really, really starting to show some really great offensive things for.
Well, it should be an exciting February in girls basketball. Kate Harman from the Philadelphia Inquirer, thanks for joining us on the Writers' Corner.
Thank you.
When we come back, we'll transition over to boys basketball next on SFBN Talks High School Sports.
I got the personal attention I needed, I had a lot of options when I graduated, As far as I'm concerned, this is my dream job.
Ryder prepared me for my NBA career, and I also got the education that I need for life after basketball.
I had 6 teaching internships while I was at Ryder, and right after graduation, I started a career that I love.
Welcome back to SFBN Talks. High school basketball playoffs are pretty much upon us. Ed Morrone joins us now, and Ed, want to get right into it now. We're going to talk about the public league a little bit later, but I want to talk about the Catholic League right now. The standings in the PCL, they're a little bit jumbled up. Who do you think out of that middle tier can maybe make some noise in the PCL playoffs?
Jumbled with a week to go in the regular season. It's pandemonium as usual. You can't beat it. Looking at that second tier, a couple of teams do jump out at me, but I keep landing back with Archbishop Wood, led by head coach John Moscow. Used to be an assistant under Carl Aragale at Nuemann-Goretti. He goes to Wood. He's got Luke Conahan as his star forward, one of the top scorers in the Catholic League, and he's also got a nice supporting cast. Cody Fitzpatrick can really shoot well. Tommy Funk, in addition to having one of the better names in the Catholic League, he can also play a little bit too. So if you're looking for somebody to kind of sneak up on somebody unsuspectingly, don't sleep on the Archbishop Wood Vikings.
And Ed, I have to ask you of that top tier teams, just because there's so many great teams up there, but which one do you think is a team to beat?
Well, there really are a couple of really great teams up there, but I keep landing back on Nuemann-Goretti. They've won 6 straight Catholic League titles, and for me, it's one of those things where, well, they've done it 6 years in a row, so until somebody else proves to otherwise that they can knock those guys off, I'm not sure that I really see it. I mean, you've got Lamar Kimball, the lone returning senior starter, where he's over 1,000 points now. Zane Martin, a junior. Quade Green, a sophomore. Just talent coming through that pipeline. It just constantly replenishes itself. And until Roman or somebody else can prove to me that they can knock them out, Newman out in the playoffs, I think Newman is my pick in the Catholic League.
See, I think Roman can do it. I put Roman at number 1 because, they beat Carroll and Nuemann-Goretti in the regular season. So I put Roman at my number 1 spot.
Yeah, no, everybody thinks of Roman and Nuemann-Goretti, but don't sleep on the Archbishop Carroll Patriots because I think they might have the most talented player in the Catholic League with Derek Jones. I mean, the high flyer, he's going to UNLV. He's got some nice complementary players, too. Josh Sharkey, the point guard. David Beatty, a great wing guard. And Carroll was only a bucket away from beating Nuemann-Goretti. We covered that game on SFBN. They were close with Roman as well. I think Carroll could maybe win the whole thing.
The one thing that I wish they had was Ernest Aflakpoy, the 6'9" center. He's going to Temple. Saw him play a little bit last year, and then he got hurt this year. Having a 6'9" guy who can defend and score in the lane as well really could have went a long way, but he's missed time with injury. So I think not having him really hurts Carroll a little bit, but they are certainly in the mix.
Yeah, I think that's a factor, but I still like them, obviously, like you said, to be in the mix. And I think that's one thing we can all agree upon is the top 3 are Carroll, Roman, and Newman, pick an order. But out of the Final Four, thinking about who's going to be in the Final Four, who's going to be that 4th team in the PCL? Because it really could be a number of teams.
Well, for me, it's St. Joe's Prep. Speedy Morris, one of the most decorated high school basketball coaches in this city's history. It's hard to pick against him, especially in the playoffs with all the experience he has. He's also got Chris Clover, the leading scorer in the Catholic League this year, kind of a one-man wrecking crew, scoring more than 21 points per game. So for me, it's Speedy, it's Chris Clover, and it's the Hawks, and it's the Final Four.
See, I disagree with you again. I put LaSalle at number 4 because they beat Roman this season. That's such a huge upset game, so I put them in the number 4 spot.
And look out for LaSalle going to St. Joe's Prep to conclude the regular season. Could go a long way in determining who gets that 4th spot in the Catholic League.
Now, there's no doubt that's going to be a war, obviously a huge rivalry, but I don't think it's going to determine who's going to be number 4 because I think Conwell Egan's going to be number 4. The Eagles, a very good team, another team under the radar. They're actually 7-2 at the end of January in the Catholic League, so they're right there with the top tier. LaPree Pace, Stevie Jordan, 2 very good players. Now, going from those Eagles to the Eagles that you follow, the George Washington Eagles in the public league, Emily and I talked about them a little bit earlier. They're probably going to have to go up against Martin Luther King in the 4A classification championship game. We talked about it. Do you think that they have a chance to beat the Cougars?
I do, and it's not just my Northeast Philly bias poking its head through. I've looked at this too, and I think that if there's any team that can knock off the defending Class 4A champs, the defending Public League champs, it's George Washington. They're undefeated in Division B right now. Charles Brown, the 6'6" forward, he's got a nasty inside-outside game. He's got a lot of Division I scholarship offers are starting to flow in. He's got a great supporting cast. John Creighton, the 3rd-year head coach, has continued to get better year after year. And what sets these guys apart, they can guard. and they love to play defense. And I think going up against a team as good as King, you need a mentality kind of like that. So if anybody can do it, it's George Washington. My money's on Washington and John Creighton.
So like you mentioned, King won the Public League last year. I have them doing it again, winning the whole thing, winning 4A, winning the championship. I have King and Constitution, and King coming on top.
Yeah, King and Constitution, obviously a rematch of last year. And I think those are the two teams that a lot of people think are going to get to the championship. But I think the Generals are going to win it this year. In a revenge game, they can win it. They're dedicating the season to assistant coach Fran Hamilton, who passed away this past summer. Rob Moore, we talked about him doing a great job. Gilbert, Kamar Williams, both phenomenal players. I think Constitution takes it all.
I respectfully disagree with both of you. Don't sleep on Imhotep. I know they're 5-4 in Division A. The teams that you're just talking about, all 4 of those losses came to those teams, but they were close. They just got Devin Liggins, their top player, back from a broken hand. He's been out since December. He had a great first game back against MCS. I'm not trying to take anything away from Constitution or King, but don't sleep on Imhotep is all I'm saying.
All right, well, we have some very different opinions out there, a lot of different things on the board right now. But let's take a look what's coming up on the Sports Fanbase Network.
Well, that about wraps things up for this edition of SFBN Talks. And Emily, we all made our picks. I guess we're going to see who ends up being right.
Yep, we all had very different predictions, so we'll see who's our most accurate in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, we've got a long way to go. The end of the regular season, the beginning of the playoffs, so it should be pretty exciting.
It should be.
For Emily Henning, I'm Ari Bluestein. Thank you for watching SFBN Talks. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a good night.
Select video equipment for SFBN Talks has been provided by DMP Video. DMP Video. You provide the moment, we'll capture the memories. For more information about our videography services, please go to our website at www.dmpvid.com. The Sports Fanbase Network, this area's leader in high school sports broadcasting, is heading to TCN with a brand new talk show. Join us every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock for SFBN Talks High School Sports. We'll have everything from interviews with players, coaches, writers, and more, plus analysis, rankings, highlights, and in-depth features on major topics in the Delaware Valley high school sports community. Tune in every other Wednesday, 6 p.m. on TCN for SFBN Talks High School Sports.